And honestly, I don't even know where to begin with this one. Let's just start with Carter Walton, good old Carter, the man who has literally spent the last decade on this show just wanting a wife and a family. That is all he wants. He just wants to be a dad. And finally, he marries Daphne Rose Walton, and it seems like everything is falling into place for him. They are trying for a baby. They are doing everything right. But then the writers just have to pull the rug out from under them. A few episodes ago, we saw Dr. Lee Finnegan sitting down with Daphne and delivering the most heartbreaking news ever: early menopause, complete infertility, and it was just so sad to watch. I mean, I think we all felt for Daphne in that moment. She was just paralyzed by the grief. And Carter, bless his heart, he is trying to be the supportive husband. He is trying to hold it together. But you can see the absolute despair in his eyes. He is grieving too. He is grieving the biological child he thought he was going to have. And the thing is that Carter is a fixer. He always wants to find a solution, but you can't just fix this. You can't just draft a legal contract and make infertility go away. So Carter is at the Forrester Creations office. He is drowning in his own despair, just sitting there looking completely lost. And who suddenly walks through the door? Paris Buckingham. Yes, you guys. Paris is back in Los Angeles, out of nowhere. I literally gasped at my screen. What were they thinking bringing her back right at this exact moment? I mean, we all know the timing on this show is never an accident. The writers knew exactly what they were doing. Paris just strolls in looking fabulous as always. And Carter just looks at her. He just stares at her. And you can see all the history flooding back. Let's be real here for a second. Carter and Paris had a very intense, very passionate past. They were hot and heavy. There were a lot of feelings there. And even though they moved on, you don't just erase that kind of history. So Paris sees him. She sees that he is completely broken. And she does what anyone with a heart would do. She asks him what's wrong. And Carter just breaks. He completely crumbles. In a moment of total weakness, he just pours his heart out to his ex. He tells her everything about Daphne's diagnosis, about the infertility, about how his dreams of a family are just shattered. And Paris is so compassionate. She sits with him. She comforts him. She is being a really good friend in this moment. Maybe I'm being too harsh on Paris usually, because she actually handled this really well. She was just there for him. But then, oh my God, but then Carter's brain just completely short-circuits. I don't know if it was the grief, or the comfort, or just the proximity to his beautiful ex-girlfriend, but Carter gets an idea. A crazy, insane, absolutely unhinged idea. He looks at Paris, who is radiating health and youth and compassion, and he thinks surrogate. Yes, you heard me. Carter Walton is actually considering asking Paris Buckingham to be their surrogate. I literally yelled at my TV. What is wrong with this man? Who actually believes this is going to end well? You guys, you do not ask your ex-lover to carry your baby. That is soap opera suicide. I mean, think about it. You are asking a woman you used to sleep with, a woman you had deep romantic feelings for, to carry your child. How on earth is Daphne going to react to this? Let's talk about Daphne for a minute. My heart just aches for her. She is already feeling so inadequate. She is feeling like she failed her husband. She is vulnerable and hurt, and her self-esteem is probably at rock bottom right now. She feels like she can't give Carter the one thing he wants most in the world. And now, imagine her husband coming home and saying, "Hey honey, don't worry, I fixed it. My gorgeous ex-girlfriend Paris is going to carry our baby." Honestly, if I were Daphne, I would pack my bags and move to another continent. It is so insensitive. It is so tone-deaf. But that is classic Carter when he gets desperate. He gets tunnel vision. He just sees a path to his goal and he ignores all the massive red flags waving in his face. And let's look at the bigger pattern here. This fits the show's usual style so perfectly. The writers love a messy surrogacy storyline. We have seen it before with Rick and Maya and Nicole, but this one feels different because of the emotional stakes. Daphne is so fragile right now, and Paris. Well, Paris is Paris. She is a ray of hope for Carter, but she is also a massive spark for new trouble. What if Paris says yes? I mean, she has a good heart. She might actually agree to do it out of pity or lingering love for Carter, but pregnancy involves hormones. It involves a deep connection to the baby and a deep connection to the father. If Paris is carrying Carter's baby, they are going to be spending a lot of time together, going to doctor appointments, feeling the baby kick, sharing these intimate moments. How long until those old sparks reignite? How long until Carter starts looking at Paris and remembering their past? Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. The fans on social media are already losing their minds over this. I was scrolling through my feed last night and everyone is just screaming at Carter to stop. Don't do it, Carter. Protect Daphne. It's a mess. I just keep thinking about that scene in the Forrester office. The way the lighting caught them, the way Paris touched his arm to comfort him. It was so innocent but so loaded at the same time. The writers really nailed the tension in that room. You could feel Carter's desperation. He is a man drowning and Paris just threw him a life preserver. But he doesn't realize the life preserver is covered in spikes. And what about Steffy? Steffy has been supporting Daphne through this medical crisis. If Steffy finds out that Carter is trying to use Paris as a surrogate, she is going to flip. Steffy knows how messy these things get. She is going to try to protect Daphne. I can already see the showdowns in the CEO office. Steffy yelling at Carter, Carter defending his choice. It is going to be explosive. But back to Paris. Why did she come back to LA right now? Was it just coincidence? On this show, there are no coincidences. She came back to shake things up. She came back to be the catalyst for the destruction of Carter and Daphne's marriage. Because let's be real, this marriage is not going to survive this. Even if Paris says no, the fact that Carter even thought of asking her is going to destroy Daphne. When Daphne finds out, and she will find out, because secrets never stay hidden in Los Angeles, she is going to feel so betrayed. She is going to feel like Carter doesn't respect her. She is going to think, why her? Why Paris? Do you still love her? And Carter is going to backtrack and stumble over his words, but the damage will be done. The seed of doubt will be planted. I honestly don't know how Carter comes back from this. He is supposed to be the smart lawyer, the logical one. But grief makes people do stupid things. And this is the stupidest thing he could possibly do. He is literally inviting a hurricane into his living room and hoping his house doesn't blow down. So yeah, I'm a bit tired of Carter making these terrible romantic decisions. Remember Quinn? Remember all the other messes he got into? He never learns. He just never learns. He leads with his heart, which is sweet, but his heart is an idiot. I'm just sitting here staring at my screen, typing furiously because I am so stressed out for Daphne. She deserves better. She deserves a husband who will sit with her in her grief, not a husband who runs to his ex-girlfriend to find a loophole. Maybe I'm being too harsh. I know Carter is hurting. I know he wants a baby. But there are other ways. Adoption, an anonymous surrogate. Literally anyone else on the planet besides Paris Buckingham. But that wouldn't be good soap opera, would it? We need the drama, we need the tears, and we are definitely going to get them. The next few weeks are going to be a roller coaster. I can feel it. The writers are setting up a massive earthquake for this marriage. The fault lines are cracking. Let's talk about the exact moment Paris walked in again. The door clicks open. Carter doesn't even look up at first. He's probably staring at some legal document that makes absolutely no sense to him right now because all the words are blurring together. He's a man who has always played by the rules. He drafts the contracts. He officiates the weddings. He stands by Ridge and Eric and Steffy and fixes their messes. But who fixes Carter's messes? Nobody. He is always the rock. And right now, the rock is crumbling. When he finally looks up and sees Paris, it's like a ghost walking into the room. Paris Buckingham, the woman he almost married. The woman who brought so much color and chaos into his life. And let's just pause and remember their history for a second. It wasn't just a casual fling. They had a deep, undeniable connection. They had passion. They had that crazy, whirlwind romance that makes you do stupid things. And even though it didn't work out, there is always that lingering what-if hovering in the air between two people who used to share that much intimacy. So she walks in, she sees him, and Paris is very perceptive. She immediately knows something is wrong. She doesn't just say a quick hello and leave. She walks over to him. She probably sits on the edge of his desk or pulls up a chair, invading his personal space in that familiar way that only an ex can do. And she asks him, "Carter, what's wrong?" And that is all it takes, that one simple question. Carter, who has been holding his breath, trying to be the strong, stoic husband for Daphne, just lets it all out. He exhales. And the pain just spills out of him. He tells Paris about the doctor's appointment. He tells her about Dr. Lee Finnegan sitting them down and delivering the crushing blow, early menopause. No biological children, the finality of it. He probably tells Paris how he feels like he's failing Daphne, and how Daphne feels like she's failing him. It's a vicious cycle of guilt and sorrow. And Paris, to her credit, doesn't make it about her. She doesn't bring up their past. She just listens. She puts her hand on his arm. She offers him that soft, compassionate comfort that he so desperately needed in that exact moment. But this is where things go completely off the rails. This is where Carter Walton loses his mind. Because as Paris is comforting him, as she is speaking softly to him, Carter looks at her. He really looks at her. He sees a young, healthy, vibrant woman. A woman he already trusts. A woman he already has a deep biological and emotional history with. And his desperate, grieving brain puts two and two together and comes up with 5. He thinks Paris could do it. Paris could be our surrogate. I cannot even fathom the leap in logic here. I mean, I can because it's a soap opera, but as a human being watching this, I am screaming. You guys, it is so inappropriate. It is beyond inappropriate. It is a recipe for an absolute disaster. Let's break down why this is the worst idea in the history of Forrester Creations. First of all, the emotional boundary crossing. You are asking your ex to carry your child. Even if it's Daphne's egg weight, if Daphne has early menopause, she might not have viable eggs. Which means, oh my God, does Carter want Paris to be the biological mother too? If Carter is thinking about a traditional surrogacy where Paris uses her own egg, that means the baby would literally be Carter and Paris's biological child. He would be having a baby with his ex-girlfriend while married to Daphne. That is not a surrogacy, Carter. That is just having a baby with your ex and asking your wife to raise it. Even if they somehow use a donor egg and Paris is just the gestational carrier, it is still wildly messy. Pregnancy is an intensely emotional experience. The hormones, the physical changes, the bonding with the baby. Carter would be hovering over Paris for 9 months. Going to her ultrasounds, rubbing her swollen feet, making sure she's eating right. They would be sharing this profound, life-altering journey together. Where does that leave Daphne? Daphne is already feeling like a broken vessel. She is already feeling like she is less of a woman because she can't give her husband a child. If she has to sit on the sidelines and watch her husband dote on his gorgeous, youthful ex-girlfriend who is carrying his baby, it will destroy her. It will absolutely shatter whatever is left of her self-esteem. Daphne will feel like a third wheel in her own marriage. She will look at Carter and Paris and see a complete family, a family that she is excluded from. She will see the inside jokes, the shared glances, the intimate moments that naturally occur when two people are creating a life together. And she will resent Carter. She will resent Paris. And tragically, she might even resent the baby. It's a marital earthquake waiting to happen. The fault lines are already there, and Carter is basically handing Paris a stick of dynamite. I don't want to say Paris is doing this maliciously. I don't think she is. I think she genuinely feels compassion in that office. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And this road is a superhighway to divorce court for Carter and Daphne. I can already picture the scenes. Carter going home to Daphne. Daphne is sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring blankly at the wall, still processing her grief. And Carter comes in, pacing around, full of this frantic, manic energy. He sits next to her, takes her hands, and says, "Daphne, I found a solution. We can still have a baby." Daphne's eyes will light up for a second. She thinks he means adoption or an anonymous agency, and then Carter will drop the bomb. Paris is back in town. I talked to her. She could be our surrogate. The look of betrayal on Daphne's face, the absolute horror. She will pull her hands away from him like he burned her. She will ask him, "You talked to Paris about my medical diagnosis. You told your ex-girlfriend about my most private, humiliating pain." Because that's another layer to this. Carter didn't just ask Paris for a favor. He exposed Daphne's vulnerability to another woman, a woman who used to share Carter's bed. Daphne is going to feel so violated. She is going to feel like her husband took her deepest shame and just handed it over to Paris Buckingham. I am getting worked up just typing this. I need to take a breath. But you guys know how this show gets to me. I get so invested in these characters. I have been rooting for Carter for years. I just want the man to be happy, but he is his own worst enemy. Let's also think about Zendaya in all of this. Zendaya and Paris have their own complicated history. If Zendaya finds out that Paris is back in town and Carter is trying to use her as an incubator, Zendaya is going to have some strong opinions. Zendaya is already dealing with so much professional frustration with the Hope for the Future line being shelved and all the chaos with Hope defecting to Logan. He is already a powder keg. If you throw Paris back into his orbit, especially in this bizarre surrogate scenario, Zendaya might just explode. He might confront Carter. We could have a full-on brawl in the design room. And honestly, I would love to see that. Carter needs someone to physically shake him and tell him to wake up. He is living in a fantasy world where he thinks he can neatly compartmentalize his ex-girlfriend carrying his baby without it destroying his current marriage. It is the ultimate male hubris. He thinks he can manage the emotions of two women, when in reality, he is going to end up alienating both of them. I just keep going back to Daphne, the psychological toll this is going to take on her. We already know she is feeling paralyzed by grief. Dr. Lee Finnegan was not exactly the warmest doctor when delivering the news. Lee is very clinical, very blunt. Daphne probably left that hospital feeling like a defective product. And Carter, instead of wrapping her in bubble wrap and assuring her that she is enough, that their love is enough, is out here trying to crowdsource a uterus from his exes. It is so profoundly sad. Carter's desperation is blinding him to the incredible pain he is about to inflict on the woman he promised to love and cherish. In sickness and in health, Carter, That includes infertility. That includes standing by your wife when her body doesn't do what you both hoped it would do. I know some fans are going to defend Carter. They are going to say he just wants a baby so badly, he's not thinking straight. And I get that. I really do. Grief is a monster. It makes you irrational, but there is a line between being irrational and being cruel. And bringing Paris Buckingham into this deeply personal, deeply painful marital crisis is cruel to Daphne. I also wonder how this is going to play into the larger corporate war happening right now. Forrester Creations is already a war zone. Ridge is declaring war on the Spencers. Eric is having public meltdowns on live streams. Hope just defected to Logan and shattered Brooke's heart. The entire company is walking on eggshells. Carter is the coup. He is supposed to be the steady hand guiding the ship through the storm. But how can he guide the ship when his own personal life is a sinking Titanic? If Carter is distracted by this surrogacy drama, he is going to drop the ball at work. Ridge is going to notice. Steffy is going to notice. And when they find out what he is actually doing, they might question his judgment on everything. If you are crazy enough to ask your ex to be your surrogate behind your infertile wife's back, are you really of sound mind to be running the day-to-day operations of an international fashion house? Probably not. This could be the storyline that finally breaks Carter Walton. We have seen him bend so many times. We have seen him compromise his morals for Quinn. We have seen him get his heart broken by Zoe. We have seen him bounce around looking for love. But this is his own doing. This is a mess he is actively creating.